Verse 12 of chapter 6. There taking his place on the seat, making his mind one-pointed, and controlling his thought and sense, let him practice yoga for the purification of the soul. The seat on which one should take his place was described in the last verse. In the next verse, Shri Krishna will describe the manner in which one should sit. But once he has sat on the seat, the human being should make his mind one-pointed. Tatai ekagram manatutva. At the beginning, one should have a resolve to make the mind one-pointed. How can the mind become one-pointed? That is everyone's question. How can the mind become one-pointed? Shri Krishna says, and it's also said in other scriptures, that if a person wishes to make his mind one-pointed, then first of all, he must have a wish to make the mind one-pointed. And he must have a wish to make the mind one-pointed on God. It is the nature of the mind that it becomes steady on that which it regards as important. If someone wishes to meditate on God, then first of all, the mind must regard God as important. This is the nature of the mind. It becomes steady on that which it regards as important. People say that they think that their mind regards God as important. If they think that their mind regards God as important and their mind cannot become steady, then understand that the mind does not regard God as important. I'll give a very simple demonstration. Does the mind not become steady when counting notes of 100 rupees? It becomes absolutely steady. A person counts 71, 72, 73 with absolute steadiness, and if his 5-year-old grandson comes into the room and says, "Granddad," then this person will say, "Quiet!" 74, 75, 76. His mind is completely steady at this time. When the same grandfather is worshipping God and the same 5-year-old grandson comes into the room, then he may say, "Come son, you are a form of God." Was he not a form of God when he was counting notes? Who is this man fooling? When his grandchild comes into the room while he's counting notes, then he tells the child to be quiet, and when the grandchild comes into the room while he's worshipping God, then he calls the child towards him. This is double standards. Who is he fooling? Remember one thing, in the path of bhakti, devotion, spirituality and penances, one who does double standards only does so with himself, because he cannot do it with anybody else. You cannot deceive anybody, you can only deceive yourself. This is because only you will suffer because of the deception and not anybody else. And one thing should always be remembered. When we meditate, then it will benefit us and there will be no benefit for God. Many people think that if they do something, then it will be good for God. It is already good for God. You're doing it for your own good. Tatai ekagram manatutva. One should make the mind one-pointed. Let us understand another rule of the mind. The mind runs towards that which it is told not to do. Arjuna is going to ask this question to Shri Krishna later in this chapter. The mind runs first towards that thing which it is told not to do. This is the nature of the mind. A youth went to a saint and asked him that he wished to learn how to meditate. The saint told him, "Son, performing meditation is very straightforward. Wake up in the morning, take a bath, sit in a cross-legged posture, light a lamp, close your eyes, and do not think about monkeys." The boy made efforts for 5 to 7 days and then went back to the saint on the 7th day. The saint asked him, "Tell me, son, did you meditate?" The boy said, "Yes, saint, I did everything you told me to. I wake up in the morning, take a bath, sit in a cross-legged posture, light a lamp, but as soon as I close my eyes, then all I can see is monkeys jumping up and down. Why did you tell me not to think about monkeys?" The saint told him, "Just understand that this is the nature of the mind. The mind will go first towards that thing which you will tell it not to do. In order to make the mind one-pointed, you must first understand these rules of the mind. The mind never becomes one-pointed as a result of suppression." Shri Krishna also says that one should be yata chitendriya kriha, one who has stopped the activities of the thoughts and the senses. Shri Krishna says very clearly that such a person should practice yoga for the purification of the soul. The practice of yoga is for the purification of the soul. What is your reason for performing yoga? If I perform yoga, then I'll get this. If I perform yoga, then I'll be the best. If I perform yoga, then I'll get powerful siddhis, spiritual powers. If one thinks like this, then a yoga will not become successful, never be successful. You should perform yoga for the purification of the soul. One should try to make their heart spotless and purified. He should aim to clean the dust that has covered the soul since many births. The scriptures give the example that when there is a flame inside the lantern, then if there is mesh around the flame, then the light will not come out. The flame is inside and yet the light does not come out. In order to let the light come out, you need to clean the mesh away. You have to take all the mesh out. This is anta vishuddhaya. The flame of the soul has remained lit inside, and we do not have to get matches from the outside in order to light it. But we need to take the path of yoga to make the mesh and the dirt that we have gathered over the soul throughout all our lives go far away. This is what meditation is a means for. That is why a person reaches a certain level in meditation, then he gets an experience of a light. This light has not come from anyone on the outside, only the darkness inside has reduced. The light was always there on the outside. How should one sit in meditation? Shri Krishna said the first thing about sitting in meditation in the 11th verse, and now he will say the second thing about sitting in meditation in the 13th verse.